Important when life happens. Doctor's Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
What's on your mind, Cayman? If you're ready to talk, we are ready to listen. Discussing current events and local news, community spotlights, hot topics, listener stories, cultural and historical discussions, environmental issues, fun and lighthearted topics, guest interviews. Cayman, basically anything you want to talk about, we are ready to listen. Here's your guest host,
Charles Glidden. Coming up, we hear from Enterprise Cayman about their business design competition, and later in the show, we hear from the Economics and Statistics Office Director to tell us about the latest data on population growth, inflation, and unemployment. Talk Today's next. Stay with me.
Talk Today is reminding you
to avoid any statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use indecent language or make any statement that is false or misleading. Call 1-800-534-8255, 949-6990, 949-8037, or WhatsApp us on 925-3261.
And now, back to Talk Today.
Good afternoon to you. I'm Charles Glidden. Glad you could tune in this afternoon. And I hope things are going good as we come down to the end of the week. And what a month May is, right? I mean, it's great. We get 2 holidays. You can't beat that. We have another long holiday coming up this weekend. The rain starts pretty soon. And usually, I don't know, they say it's going to be less this year because of, that fellow named El Nino. So we have to see how it goes. But most important is my daughter's birthday. So I can't forget that one, right? So May, one heck of a month. And now, during the holiday weekend, you might want to keep a watch out for things falling from the sky. Saw a rather interesting press release from the governor's office, and they're telling us that Starship, the SpaceX Starship is scheduled to launch, and actually during this weekend. So, if you remember, what was it, last year? One of the SpaceX Starships exploded, just blew up. People in Turks and Caicos got a good view of it. I think people here saw it too. And, debris was falling. So the governor's office has issued a press release saying the governor's office of the Cayman Islands, in coordination with Hazard Management Cayman Islands, wishes to advise the public of an upcoming SpaceX Starship 12 test launch scheduled between the 15th and the 18th of May. And the launch will take place from the SpaceX facility in Boca Chica, Texas, and the daily launch windows from like 10:30 a.m. to 12:43, and no confirmed day or time yet. And authorities do not anticipate any impact on the Cayman Islands. So the notice is being issued as a precautionary measure so that the public is informed and knows what to do in the unlikely event that anything is observed. If you're a boater, be advised to monitor official navigation warnings. Aircraft, aviation operators should monitor advisories from the Cayman Islands Airport Authority. And if in the unlikely event that anything does happen, and any object believed to be connected to the launch is observed, members of the public are asked to take the following steps. Call 911 immediately. If you believe that there's an immediate risk, do not touch or approach or even attempt to move the object, and note the location. If it's safe to do so, take a photograph without touching it, and do not remain close to the object. Otherwise, contact the hazard management at 945-4624. Well, our first guest in the studio this afternoon took place in the Cayman's own version of Shark Tank, so to speak. Enterprise Cayman held a competition for people with business ideas, business design competition. And here to tell us more about that is Elisa Manderson from Enterprise Cayman. And the winners of the various categories, we have with us Goodman Powery, who is, I guess, the overall winner. Yeah. And also Eustace Placide of UCCI. He had a team there. Mm-hmm. And also Ben Batiste. Bates. B-A-T. Okay. I don't know how a simple name got so complicated. Impact Award. Well, congratulations to you all.
Thank you.
Tell us about this competition and how you ran it, etc.
Sure. So the business design competition is an ideation stage program. So individuals are applying with their business idea. It doesn't have to be fully formed or an active business. From there, we're selecting a top 10. They're then paired with mentors, and then they attend a series of workshops which help them validate their problem and solution, making sure that there is demand within the community, within the community, and then the culmination of the program ends in a big pitch day event.
So they have to actually go before a panel or something?
Right, yes. So we have 5 judges, industry leaders from within the community, and yes, they're making a 5-minute pitch.
Yeah. How many people applied for this?
We had 41 applications this year. Yes.
Is that more than you've had previously?
Absolutely. We had 19 last year. So
wow,
a
big
substantial increase from last year, which is really great. We love to see that the program is becoming very popular, and we're hoping that next year we'll have some super strong applications again. And
what do the winners get?
So the project of the year winner receives $10,000 US dollars unrestricted. The subcategory awards receive $2,000 USD. They also receive prize packs valued at over $8,000. Sorry, and those are a combination of business services, complimentary access, and networking opportunities.
So, Goodman, you're the overall winner. What was your business idea?
So my business idea, I'll start with the problem. It was that, in Cayman, in my professional background, I saw that a lot of real estate developers was submitting information, presenting their deal that didn't quite stack up to what a lender or a credit committee would look for. They were going in without that institutional analysis, and what tended to happen is that it was a bottleneck in terms of timelines, kept getting pushed back, or if it gets approved, it puts the developer in a situation that doesn't quite benefit them. And so my idea was that I would implement a credit committee framework analysis based on the pattern recognition I've seen over the years to stress test these deals before they submit to a lender. And that situation that has occurred in is to plan to build that into a platform where they can get this in real time.
So what is your professional background?
Banking, in corporate banking.
Yeah. So people were coming to financial institutions looking for financing, but they didn't have the data all laid up right to present.
Right. It's because credit committees and developers or those that are seeking financing think completely different. So what they submit, their assumptions when they get in front of a lender, they realize that they've never been challenged, And when they go before a credit committee and challenge, then that's when the pushback happens. And the clock is ticking. A delay on any type of project, 3 months, market assumptions move quite quickly. And that costs us a lot for a developer. Yeah. And also has the impact on the community because that's delayed housing. That's is taking longer to get there.
So just give me an example of what the credit committee would ask that, the developer mightn't be thinking even about that.
Well, it's things that, like in terms of do their debt service coverage ratio hold, do construction timelines that the developer has presented, are they reasonable? Like, are there any issues with, getting materials in? Like, who's the contractor? What are their experience doing projects? These are type of questions that, they go into at us, and usually the information isn't forthcoming. There's usually a lot of back and forth, and, their numbers or their assumptions that are presented aren't stress tested the way a credit committee stress tests them. So they would, what your assumption may be, they may haircut that by 20% or 15%. Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't stack up, then they're going to be like, well, what is the mitigant here to get us comfortable? So
back to the drawing board.
Yeah, back to the drawing board. And, the developers don't have that experience, and they're not bad developers at all. It's just that there's a difference, there's a gap in terms of how they think and how a credit committee thinks. The credit committee do want to see them succeed, but they got an obligation to protect the bank as well.
We have to take a break here. We'll hear from the other winners when we come back.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Kim and Brack and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Cineco's parametric insurance after hurricanes is now available for motor policies. Fixed automatic payouts cover incidental vehicle expenses like fuel, cleanup, and minor repairs. No claims, no damage required. $200 for comprehensive policies or $100 for third-party policies. Available exclusively through Cineco and included with all new motor insurance policies and upon renewal for current policies. Visit cineco.ky today. Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and we're hearing from the winners of the Enterprise Cayman's business design competition. And we have 2 other gentlemen here who are in the winning category. Eustace Placide of UCCI. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So what was you had a team, was it, from the university? Or?
That is correct.
Yeah. So what was the business idea that your team had?
We have a team of 2 students. We have Kerry Martin, and then we have...
Just get a little closer to the mic for me. Yeah.
We had a team of 2 students. We had Kerry Martin and Chevron Campbell. Unfortunately, they're unable to be here today. The idea, I'm going to follow Goodman process where we start with the problem. One of the problems that we see that Caymanian or resident of the Cayman Islands facing is the high energy costs, which is in some cases, based on some data that we have conducted based on our research. This is one of the highest bill in the Cayman Islands when it comes to energy. So what we find out here, we find out that property owners and business, they are making decisions without data. So we're providing a solution. The solution is we are a software-driven platform where we will generate a scenario based on your square footage and the room size, length, width, and height, and we tell you exactly how much it'll cost you when it comes to energy. So our scenario will create a plan for you. You know, the solar panel that you need, the HVAC, and provide you the full detail of what actually you're gonna need before you make the decision. Because that's what we found out, that those builders, they're building without sound data. They don't have the data until you find out that you have a 5,000 square foot home, and then the energy is sky high. So we tell you in advance, this is the size of your building based on the data that you provide, and this is how much it's going to cost you. So these are the equipment that you're going to need, to make sure that you're comfortable before you're actually making that investment.
So you can make a calculation of what your energy cost is going to be monthly.
That is correct.
Based on that software.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So, I mean, as it stands now, most people are, they build something and they don't know what the energy cost is until that first bill from CUC.
You're right. That's where the big surprise comes.
So the two students, their names again?
Kerry Martin and Chevron Campbell.
But they developed the software?
Yes, with the assistance, of course. We all work together to develop the application. And also we have integrated AI in terms of, for example, the data. How do we get the information? Because if we're getting a lot of information in, it's going to be a time consuming. So AI is integrated within the application that we can scan the bill. For example, if I take your bill, scan it in, and the software will actually auto-populate the right information in the right target.
So what you take a current bill,
correct,
and knowing the square footage of what that property is,
correct,
and then you can make the calculations for anything.
It make the calculation. Also tell you that if you were to follow the process, right, it tells you, all right, these are the equipment, the type of equipment that you're going to need to purchase to reduce your electricity.
So the type of materials that you use will affect that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. And of course, over the years, you have to keep on because the what we're providing is an online platform where you register, and from there, with years, things are going to degrade. Of course, you're going to have to keep maintaining. The maintenance, to make sure that you keep getting the right equipment in place to make sure the investment that you're going to make is based on the data, not just guess, like what's happening currently in some cases.
So Ben, what was your proposal?
Haven. It's basically a personal safety app that I developed. It's basically, if you ever feel unsafe, you can silently alert someone, like a trusted contact, from haven to haven, which would be app to app, using a discrete phrase or a safe word. And yeah, the biggest thing about my idea Haven is getting past the lock screen. I mean, we all walk around with these phones all the time with us, and if something was to actually happen, or someone found themselves in a vulnerable situation or felt unsafe, you can use Siri to get through the app to activate it to the trusted contact.
Because you still need that couple of seconds to open it up as it is right now, right?
And there was no safety app out there that that you could activate through the lock screen. So
what? Tell us a little bit about the process you went through to develop that.
It was I started.
Just stay a little closer to the mic.
Sorry, I was getting into AI and stuff and trying to sort of learn all that how that stuff kind of works, and I was kind of getting to the point of thinking we're moving in a direction where it started me thinking of kids where if they end up in a situation and they feel unsafe when they're in a situation that they don't like, they're going to start talking to devices and it's going to start talking to AI. They're going to ask for help in that manner or in that way, and that kind of just led me down this rabbit hole of thinking how can I make that easier for that process, because it's going in that direction. And then I found out down the road that you had to open the app. You had to go into the phone, open the app to then press a button to send an alert to somebody, or to a college campus security or something like that. So I just got really into the coding side of things with AI to the point where the biggest breakthrough was getting through the lock screen phase. So
what is your background?
I'm a boat captain.
A boat captain?
Yeah.
What happens to know about programming?
Slow season. Yeah. I've got to stay busy. So yeah, I just time on my hands and slow season, just trying to different avenues. I'm always trying to stay busy.
So I mean, self-taught as far as
yeah, pretty much from scratch. Yeah, I just kind of got into it. And my brain kind of works like that. I kind of, if I'm into something, I go kind of quite deep into it, and then within a year of me getting into it, I'm sitting here.
Awesome. Wow, that's fantastic. Now, we've heard 2 projects that applied AI. Goodman, you have AI involved in yours?
Yes, I do. It's not the product, but it is kind of the, I would say, the structure in the background. It helps to structure the data quickly, but AI has never sit in a credit committee.
Yeah.
You know, so it still wears the judgment and the experience of myself, the founder, to validate what is being spit out. But AI does make it quicker.
Tell me, for all 3 of you, I mean, AI is everywhere now, right? I mean, that's the buzz. I don't know if there's a word, AI, buzz letters. But I mean, is that one of the weaknesses still, the subtleties of real life, of when you apply AI?
I think from my experience, when and I think Goodman is right, we have what we call the men in the middle. You know, people are talking about how AI is going to take in jobs, you know, but what we, as an instructor, we teach AI, what I found out that is AI will replace some tasks, you know, repetitive tasks, you know. However, when it comes to the right decision making, it's always going to be the human factor. You need to have the expertise of some individual to make sure that, you know, AI has make the right choice or the right selection. Because of the hallucination, you know, it's not a perfect science, you know. AI will tell you things when you look at it and say, where did this come from? You know, unless you have the knowledge, you know, and the know-how to be able to identify those things, you know, it's always going to need someone there, you know, to verify and validate. You know.
And sometimes the most efficient selection may not be the human or humane selection, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you've won this contest. What's next?
For me, is to just continue to market it and get it out there to people and let them know that at this moment we are open to helping businesses, developers, real estate developers and operators in Cayman. And it's then continue to build to the platform that I envision of be able to stress test it in real time. So right now they can get the service, but it won't be real time that they receive it.
Mm-hmm. So. And what about your team? What's
for
next?
Us, what we're looking at is the refining the concept. We want to explore opportunity, especially for the student, looking at for partnership. You know, I want to make sure that the student understand that their responsibility in terms of having an application as such, you know, that could be used around the world. So this is where we are here. We're still in the continuing doing research and development to make sure that we have the right product that we can put out there for all to use.
And Ben, what's up?
Haven's in the test pilot phase, where I'm basically right now I'm reaching out to schools, universities, care providers, crisis centres all across Cayman to try and get Haven into the hands of the people that need it most. The response has been really encouraging so far. Truman Bodden Law School, they're already on board, so their students are going to have it for free for now. And then, I'm just along that line of just feedback from different institutions.
So the law school is going to be like a test group for you?
Well, the test pilot basically. Is having it out there and getting feedback from for the test pilots, and then the idea is it to be launched fully on in September.
All right. So does Cayman Enterprise help with the onward journey now?
Absolutely. So the next step in our entrepreneurship ecosystem is our Launch Lab Studios incubator. So that through that program, it's a 14-week program. Again, you're going through a series of online workshops paired with industry experts. But this program is essentially getting you investor ready. So it is that next step after you have validated your problem and solution. We're making sure that you have trial and tested your MVP, and you're ready to start pitching to investors for that next step.
Mm-hmm. So you continue to hold their hand for a while.
Yes, absolutely. So applications for that is open now, and it's open to international and local applicants for anybody else that is interested. And the deadline for those applications is the 30th of June.
Time for us to take another break, but we'll be right back.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
With a brand new look for CUC, we're moving together towards tomorrow. Same commitment, fresh perspective. Explore the refresh at empoweringcayman.com.
If you have an objection to this marriage, speak now or forever hold your...
Don't do it, Tevin! I still love you. I have since the day we stole your mom's car and got matching dolphin tattoos.
Oh, Lordy. Janelle? From spring break, oh, wait?
Yes, it's me.
Janelle, you've got to move on.
We're like the wedding guest that doesn't ruin the ceremony. CG Britke. Good like that.
The Spring Labor Force Survey and Quality of Life Survey conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office is currently underway. The Labor Force Survey collects information on employment and unemployment in the Cayman Islands, while the Quality of Life Survey gathers feedback on well-being, financial security, community belonging, and overall life satisfaction. Trained interviewers with official ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. All interviews are confidential under the Statistics Act, and no individual information will be published. For details, call the ESO hotline at 516-3329.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and we're hearing about the Enterprise Cayman Business Design Competition and speaking with the winners here. If you have a question or you just want to make a comment about this, you can give us a call, 1-800-534-8255. That's courtesy of Flo, or 949-8037, 949-6990, or WhatsApp 925-3261. Now, there was a panel that all of the contestants had to make a pitch to, right?
Right, our sharks, as we call them. Yes.
Yeah. How long was the pitch? It was just
so a 5-minute pitch, and then the judges had 5 minutes for questions and answers, which the presenters were able to.
And so, who were the panelists?
So, our first judge was Miss Malicia Adderley, founder and CEO of Women's Haven. We had Mr. Rich Dyer, co-founder at Massive Media. Ms. Thais Ducent, director at the Cayman Islands Center for Business Development, Mr. Nick Joseph, founder at Reside Cayman, and Mr. Woody Foster, managing director at Foster's.
So what was it like getting ready to do this pitch and facing this panel?
For me is just one of excitement. Like, I truly enjoy the journey through the Enterprise Cayman business design competition, and I just was excited to be out there, and it was a great experience, and I don't know how else to put it. Like, I just felt nothing in the moment but excitement and gratitude to actually be there.
For the product and the ideas that you have. It's very reassuring. It gives you a lot of confidence in your idea.
So when you were able to come right back with your answers when you were under cross-examination there, you knew you had something going.
Yeah, definitely.
For me, it was a good idea. It was a good experience, But the concern that I had is having my student froze on stage. that was my concern. Even though with a lot of preparation, yes, with a lot of preparation, they're young, they are afraid. First of all, before before we were called on stage, and they were in the back talking. I said, "You think we can do that?" I said, "What do you mean you think we can do that?" I said, "There's no time to come back. Now we're going." But that was it. I think it was a good experience for them, to have them exposed to this level of a competition, and I'm hoping that they learn from what I again, having discussion with them. They learn from that experience, and they're looking forward, to be exposed more, So that's a good thing. And of course, this is a good kudo to CEC. I mean, what they're doing in this community, I think this is the first. And I think they should continue doing this. They're giving the exposure to a lot of people. You take your idea from idea stage, and then they carry you to a year. With that's a lot of investment in someone's idea.
So you're working with the contestants for a year?
Yeah, so they receive a complimentary membership to the Launch Lab Studios, which provides them with additional resources as they go through their journey. They also received a waived fee to the incubator program, so we're hoping that they will apply, go through that program as well, which will again get them to that further stage in their development.
What were some of the challenges that the three of you faced in reaching this point?
There were many. I think in the technological side of things for me was the hardest thing was there was so many different pivots that I had to make while making the actual app. But like Alyssa said, we got advisors each. So we had an advisor, and that advisor was specifically to what you kind of were developing. And that was a lot of help, and they kind of helped you to get to your submission pack, to get to your pitch, and to get you to that stage. And that was a massive help for me, for sure.
The challenge for us as a team, it wasn't about the technical aspect, because we do have the background to actually develop our application and make sure that the application is functional. But the main challenge was with my team members. The fear of being on the stage, the fear of making a public speech. They do have the technical background. It's just like, to convince them, look here, this is your product, this is your idea. You're talking to an audience. You tell the audience what you have developed and get it done. That's the challenge.
So you have to kind of leave the tech behind, become a salesperson.
Exactly.
And we all did like an improv class,
right?
The week before, which was funny.
Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, so the week before pitch day, we had a pitch practice, but we also had a public speaking workshop with Miss Cassandra Shea from the National Cultural Foundation. So she went through, she's very interactive, very fun. So that was a big help for them, just learning those tips and tricks on how to, keep your composure, how to present yourself, all those little tips and tricks that surely helped on the big day.
Yeah.
So, Goodman, did you have any setbacks, any challenges in developing your program?
I think for me, the biggest challenge that I was facing was every time we had those workshops, there was always, very good presenters, very good advisors that made me challenge my actual original idea. And so I went through a lot of reiterations in terms of developing my idea. It really pushed and stress tests, my original thought, which really helped me prepare for the big and final day. But each time it happened, I had to go back to the drawing board, and I had to rip everything up and then whip it back into shape. So yeah, the challenge was crunch time, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, that's something when you say, this is the wrong direction altogether, right?
Yeah, well, not wrong direction. Just you need to be a little bit more over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then getting it over there is
it's a lot of heavy lifting.
Right. So what would you say to other people out there that may be listening that, they have an idea that's burning in the back of their mind that they would like to get out there?
One thing I would say, do not be afraid to pursue your ideas, right? Even if they seem ambitious at first, right? Innovation begins with what? Identifying a problem. And once the problem is identified, you have to be willing to explore the solution, right? Stay serious about it, collaborate with others, continue learning, and remain resilient with the challenge. That would be my advice to them. And to my student over at UCCI, if you guys are listening, I'm looking forward for you for next year to get involved.
Any other words of advice to people with ideas?
Yeah, I would say go for it. I think a lot of people sometimes, the business idea that they may have, they're a lot closer to it than they actually think. Getting the right people to stress test your business idea is important for sure, and I would encourage every entrepreneur, anyone that's thinking about a business, to do that. But yeah, sometimes they're a lot closer than what they actually think.
And enter this competition, because without I think with my app, the guidance throughout this competition, it wouldn't be where it is today without sort of that process over the last couple of months, for sure.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So encouraging everyone to keep business design competition in mind. Applications will open at the end of the year, the 1st of December. But for now, applications to our incubator are open. So if you do already have an established idea and you're ready to get yourself investor ready, then please visit enterprisecayman.ky and take a look at our Launch Lab Studios incubator. And
tell us a little bit more about the incubator.
So it is going to be a fully online program. It's going to be delivered in partnership with DMZ. So they will be spearheading all of the sessions. We do have some touch points in Cayman where we are requiring the international applicants to come to Island for that first kickoff week and for the last kickoff week. But yes.
So, you really help people as far as the coaching. I know, like I said, some people, they got an idea, but they don't know where to go with that.
Absolutely. So that's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on, the networking component of all of our programs. We have access to numerous specialized individuals from within the special economic zone at CEC. So we really tap into that international expertise that they bring to the table and pair up as much as our competitors as we can with them along the way.
Is it all tech centered?
Absolutely not. So you can apply with any product or service idea.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yes.
So, and of the people who have come before, the other winners, anybody that has gone on to break through?
I actually saw one of them this morning on social media.
Yeah.
He was doing local pet food. So that was a company that came through the business design competition, I think 2 years ago, and actually saw that he was, like in the selling stages now, and actually developing his product. So that was really great to see. We do have some other ones who we've seen come to fruition, but again, those are a lot more still in that tech space.
Mm. So getting to the investor stage is really where people need to be headed,
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. I think, especially when you're thinking about your business on a global stage, that's really when the big bucks kind of start to matter. Yeah.
So give us that information again for anyone who's interested, and
So
being a part of the
for
program.
now, the Launch Labs incubator is accepting applications. You can visit enterprisecayman.ky. The deadline for applications is June 30th, and then if you are interested in a more entry level competition, just want to get your business idea validated. business design competition applications will open the end of this year, 1st of December.
All right, so take note of that. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in, and congratulations once again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's 1 o'clock. Let's see what's making headlines.
Since 1976.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Bright. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
With your latest headlines, I'm Elizabeth Charles. The Cayman Islands government is marking the 68th anniversary of the National Coat of Arms today. In a social media statement, officials recall that a royal warrant for Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II in 1958 created the first official symbol of Cayman's national identity. They describe the coat of arms as one of the island's most cherished national symbols, saying it unites the community by reflecting Cayman's history, values, and shared future, and remind the public that its use in commercial or promotional materials is strictly regulated and requires official authorization from the government. In international news, Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham says he will ask Labour's ruling National Executive Committee for permission to stand in the Makerfield by-election after local MP Josh Simmons announced he will resign to, quote, stand aside so that Andy Burnham can return to his home. Burnham, who grew up in the area, says national politics has, quote, let down locals and that he wants to return to Parliament to, quote, bring the change we have brought to Greater Manchester to the whole of the UK and make everyday life more affordable. In other news, Chinese President Xi Jinping has warned U.S. President Donald Trump that mishandling disagreements over Taiwan could push China-U.S. relations to, quote, a very dangerous place. Xi delivered the warning in a closed-door session of their more than 2-hour summit in Beijing today, during Trump's first visit to China by a U.S. president since 2017. Those are the latest headlines. I'm Elizabeth Charles.
More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Your Cayman Islands Health Services Authority has been the national healthcare provider of the Cayman Islands for many generations. We have elevated our level of care to ensure you, our patients, have the best possible experience. We offer better access to care close to home with the most locations on all 3 islands, delivering a full range of primary, secondary, tertiary, and emergency care. HSA is a JCI accredited organization, and we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
William Stephen Ryan, J.P., 1838 to 1910. William Ryan was the first Ryan born on Cayman Brac. He was appointed Justice of the Peace in 1877 and Stipendiary Justice for Cayman Brac in 1893. Court was held at his home, which was located on Ryan's Drive, across the road from the Ryan Family Cemetery, where he is buried. He was married to the former Catherine A. Scott, with whom he had 3 children, William, Amis, and James Scott. Amis was the grandmother of former District Commissioner Kenny Ryan. Bill as he is known to friends and family, made his living fishing and turtling. The family recalls that he would never leave his nets out on a Sunday. He always pulled them up on Saturday night and put them back out on Monday morning.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Hi, I'm Tommy from TCE Paint Shop, a longtime listener and customer of Radio Cayman. I have treasured memories of distinct voices of former members of staff of Radio Cayman, which include Ken Smith, Doran Miller, Lomax Rankin, Joyanne Rollins, Tessa Bodden, Alton Ebines, Edith Bush, Paulette Connolly, Norma McField, and the voice of Radio Cayman, Mr. Loxley Banks. Happy anniversary, Radio Cayman, and thank you for 50 years of service to our island.
You are a child of the universe.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back. Let's take a quick look at the weather here. Current temperature, 86 degrees, and feels a lot hotter than that. It's feels out there like 94 degrees. And taking a look at the forecast. Let's take a look here on this new website at the Weather Service. The forecast for tonight, mainly clear skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures will fall to the upper 70s. Winds will be easterly at 5 knots or less, becoming light and variable at times. And seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. And sunset at 6:51. So, well, here of late on this show, we have been talking about a number of things like unemployment, the population, and the Economics and Statistics Office has recently released some data of interest. And, of course, we've talked about that right here. So this afternoon, joining me to give us some insight and some better understanding of what all these numbers mean in real life are the Director of the Economics and Statistics Office, Adolphus Laidlaw, and also Ralston Henry. He is a senior economist at the Economics and Statistics Office. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Glidden.
You don't really have to put those on unless we get a phone call. Okay. So, population. I know people listening to this show, that's always an interesting topic. What direction are we going and where are we at just about now as far as population?
Okay, first of all, good afternoon. Good afternoon to all the persons who's listening to Radio Cayman at this time. Before we explain the characteristics of the population and how it's made up, I want to say that we currently have a labor force survey ongoing. We want to thank all the persons who have participated in the labor force survey. The person who are currently, enumerators will knock your door soon, and for the future. And we really thank you for providing that data. Some of that data is what we use to compile the population. In the last report, which we published recently, which we did we collect that data, in the last quarter of 2025, we estimated the last population to be around 90,500. To the exact figure, 90,577. And that population is estimated essentially from administrative data. Now, what do I mean for administrative data? We basically got the head count for Caymanians. We then add new births, which we got from the HSA and other health institutions. We then subtract the death, person who are deceased during that time, which is normally attained from general registry. We also include new status grants to that figure. So basically, that figure is we could say 99% correct, because it's administrative data, it's countable, and it's data that's in the system. For the non-Caymanians, it's also administrative data, which is basically coming from WORC in its various forms, whether it's work permits, whether it's government contracts, whether it's permanent residence grants, students, and work permits. So when we put all those together, and dependents, of course, when we put all those together, plus the Caymanian, then we get the breakdown of both the Caymanian and the non-Caymanian population.
When you take the birth stats, is there a difference between expat, Caymanian in those stats, or you just get a number?
Yes, from the HSA, they normally record the status based on the mother.
Okay.
So based on the status of the mother at the time, we will normally get that stat broken down by status, as in Cayman and non-Caymanian.
We often hear people talk about the 100,000 population mark. I mean, some people swear that, it's like some set government policy, although I've never heard anything actually voiced like that. But time and time again, you hear, well, they want to go to 100,000. They're encouraging people to, come to Cayman. They want to make up the population. Do you know of anything like that? Of a policy or?
No, I'm not aware of. We're not aware. Well, I'm not aware of any policy. I've heard the story before, of course, because it's in the public domain, and people always talk about this 100,000 magical figure.
Right.
But there's really nothing about a specific figure where population is concerned. The way we ought to look at a population is that it provides labor, and labor is a factor of production that is used to produce goods and services. So if we don't have a population to provide labor, then we don't have an economy. Because just as we have technology, just as we have also other machinery, we need labor to combine to produce goods and services. So the bigger the population, quite obviously, you have more labor available. Now, Cayman is a little unique because we basically use more labor than we produce from Caymanians. And as a result, we can control in some ways or limit expats. And by so doing, that can reduce the population. But while on one end that may seem logical, you're also limiting the labor component of it. By limiting the labor component of it, it means that the GDP will be less. It means that in terms of opportunities for investment now will be restricted also.
So if GDP is less, what's the impact?
Well, think of it this way. The easiest way to explain the GDP being less, think of baking a cake. And you have ingredients to this cake. If you reduce the ingredients, you're going to get a smaller cake. Now, a smaller cake means you get a smaller slice. So it means the income available for persons in the economy residents will be smaller. Now, are we willing to take a smaller share of the GDP? Means because the GDP essentially income is profits and things like that. What happens is that the population also creates a market for consumption. The smaller the population is less consumption we'll have. Less people renting, less people buying stuff. Yeah. So it means, therefore, there's less profit associated with that. There's less income circulating also. So are we really willing to take a smaller share? So, but these debates are always contentious as to whether it's too big, whether it's too small. It's those kind of discussion that we had in some of the developed world. China, they had a one-child policy for years. It has gone totally against what they planned, because now a lot of the times persons did not, what should I say? A lot of the times they prefer boys than girls. So they have a lopsided society now. So we have always had other social issues as a result of population control. But again, Cayman is unique because some of it is imported.
Mr. Henry, you're an economist. So, I mean, population, and there's always that social element in there. And as Mr. Laidlaw was explaining, I mean, population means the economy can churn, it can produce, and people can benefit from it. But as an economist, do you put a social element into there when you analyze something?
I think, yes, there has to be.
Just got to look closer to that, Mike.
Sorry, there has to be a social element because one of the things like Adolphus mentioned, in the growth in the population, one of the things that have to go with that, and I think that is more in the government purview, is that the infrastructure must trail the population and the infrastructure must track the population. And so as a population growth, for you to not have that social decay that you're mentioning, you must correspondingly have more healthcare providers, more roads, and more educational services, and all the services that are necessary to ensure that the economy as a whole goes along with the population. Because if you don't have those things, you're going to end up with a decay in particular social elements, whether that be health, education, your road network, or crime. You're still going to need more law officers, or you're going to need more social justice, more rehabilitation, things like that. And so it's something that has to be monitored carefully. And so as we grow the population, it's equally critical that we are cognizant of what it means and what needs to be provided to ensure that that growth in population is matched by proper infrastructure to ensure that you don't have that social decay that you're thinking about. If you don't do that, then we end up with situations where you have a shortage of housing and then persons are saying, well...
Which we have now.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
And then you might have a shortage of healthcare. You might have a shortage of police officers, which then cause an issue with crime or things like that. And so it's necessary to plan around the population growth to ensure that once you get the growth, that you have the infrastructure to match it. And so that is where I think we control the social decay. But in terms of the population, like Adolphus said, you can't then say, okay, well, we're not going to have the population, because then you're essentially cutting your economy. And you're, like my grandmother used to say, you throw the baby with the bathwater.
Mm-hmm.
So while you need a population growth, you also need to ensure that you have the infrastructure to match, and that will take care of that social problem which you're mentioning.
Yeah. I mean, many times on this show we hear callers, their big concern is being outnumbered, Caymanians being outnumbered. So are you saying that Caymanians have to take a look and say, what do we want? Do we want this booming economy where you have the Foster's Food Fair, let's say, with stores in several different districts, not just one store? Do you want that kind of convenience and have a big population, or do you want to contract and we go back to having Foster's only at the airport or something like that, right? Is that the kind of choice that we're facing here?
Yes, I believe the government, civil society is something that we have to come together as a community and decide not necessarily what that absolute population number should be, but what probably the growth can be. Because it's easier to control or restrict or have some leeway in the growth as opposed to the population itself. As in, it's because the vast majority of the population now, if we think of what the count is, it's about 49,000 or so non-Caymanians, including PR,
Mm-hmm.
and just about 40,000, 41,000 thereabout Caymanians. So it's outnumbered in terms of Caymanians. So the only because Caymanians are indigenous to the country, we only can reduce non-Caymanians. Now, what is propelling the non-Caymanian population? Again, is economic activity. If we look at what has happened in the last few years, we have had a boom in construction in terms of accommodation facilities, as an example. So we have the accommodation facilities being constructed, whether it's for tourists, whether it's for second homes and things like that, or local residents. The building of a building is only one component of it. The operating of a hotel also need people, as an example. And as a result, you need those people because the kind of industries that we have that are growing, they're what we call labor-intensive industries.
Yeah.
So you need a person to operate them. And as a result, that's what's propelling the non-Caymanian growth. As to whether you put immigration policies to give them status or period, that's another story.
Mm-hmm.
But that is essentially, the economy is actually what pulling that group in terms of the non-Caymanians.
And that's what gives us the kind of economy that's the envy of the Caribbean, really. Right?
Of course.
Yeah, and you ask a very critical question as to the dilemma that you have in terms of the choice you have to make. I mean, the law now requires Caymanians to be majority owners in all local businesses. And so if the economy is growing, then you're looking at a state where you have, like Adolfo said, more consumption from the population, you have more income, but at the top of that hierarchy, you have businesses owned by Caymanians. And so when you start to think now about cutting the population, you have to, in the same breath, think about cutting the income level of those businesses, which are Caymanian businesses. And so it's a choice that you now have to make as to how you do that, or do you actually want to do that? And so I don't have the answer, clearly. And like Adolfo said, it's not a situation where you can allow the population to run away. As I mentioned earlier, you need a case where you have it at a growth where you can actually have the infrastructure tracking it. Because if a population skyrockets without the corresponding infrastructure, then you're going to have some amount of social decay. So you might want to control the growth so that you can actually have the infrastructure catch up or stay in pace, rather than just have it run away. So it's a decision that has to be made, but it's not an easy one as just cutting the population.
We do have a call on the line. If you put on your headphones there, maybe we can take a phone call. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yes, good afternoon.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Try
what you all are saying is pretty much common sense. It's just like if we have a population of 200,000 people and everybody is allowed to have a car, it doesn't matter how many roads the government builds, we're still going to have a traffic problem. But the thing is, we cannot allow companies to be hiring foreign nationals to the point where our Caymanians are not able to get work. We have over 800 children graduating every year in the Cayman Islands. And if the government continues to allow companies to do as they please and hire people on work permits, that's going to put our young people out of work. So this is something that cannot continue. So what you all are saying concerning needing workers is pretty much common sense. So what you all are saying here isn't something that Caymanians don't know. But the problem is we can't allow companies to be continuing to take advantage of that and not hire Caymanians and hire people on work permits. That shouldn't be allowed, because if that goes too far, that's going to cause some serious problems in this country. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you for the call. We were having some technical difficulties here that you did not hear what he said, right? But he's saying that companies are hiring non-Caymanians instead of hiring Caymanians, which I know that's not your lane, really. But I mean, that is something that we hear all the time, and I guess that's really more of an immigration problem, WORC problem.
Right.
Right. But what are your stats on the labor force?
Okay, so what we the labor force is essentially a combination of the employed persons and unemployed persons. So we had the last labor force that we published is in the region of about 63. Let me get the exact figure. I think it's around around 63,000 persons, and the unemployment was around 1,700 persons. So those were the figures. What we notice in the statistics, though, is that for Caymanians, the labor force participation is declining. It's declined a bit. It has declined a bit.
So when you say participation, what does that mean?
It's basically is the proportion of Caymanians who are employed in the population as a share of the working age population.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be for many reasons. Sometimes what you find is that an aged population, which is one that Caymanians, we are developing an aging population. And as a result of the aging population, people necessarily don't have the ability or the able-bodied to be working,
Mm-hmm.
and as a result do not participate. You have retirees, you have persons with health issues, you have persons who caregiving responsibilities, as an example, or even delayed education entry. So, for example, the most students who's of working age who's taken up university education cannot necessarily participate in the labor force. So it may be a good problem in the sense that if there are students studying, because they will come back at some point, if there are more of those students studying. So we have seen that also, which also means that it may be one of the reasons non-Caymanians are taking those jobs in the meantime, because the jobs are available, but less Caymanians are available because of whether it's training, whether it's aging, to take those jobs. And that could be also one of the reasons that is fueling the increase in non-Caymanians taking some of those jobs also. And we have, over time, we have seen that is actually correct, that we are getting an aging population.
We do have another caller. Do we have our sound problem fixed? So are you all hearing us? Okay, let's take that phone call. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Talk Today.
Good afternoon, Mr. Charles.
Yes.
I want to ask a question of your good gentleman there, economist, etc., the other gentleman as well, when it concerns that mixed population of workers, Caymanians, and foreign people. Well, that mixed population of a greater number, is it better for our economy and makes things better and came out with the greater population, as well as another question that I want to ask, also, if people fight against development, does it make your country weaker financially? Those are my questions.
Okay, thank you so much for the call.
All right, okay.
Would you like to take those two on?
Well,
I think we covered some of it previously.
Right. I believe that there is strength in diversity. Bringing people from different parts of the world, there are different cultures, of course. But at the same time, there's strength in terms of what they bring, the know-how, the knowledge, the experience from those destinations. If we think of Cayman compared to a lot of the other Caribbean countries, just restaurants alone, the variety of restaurants, the variety of culinary that we see here is not available in all the countries. Because you may see Mediterranean food, you may see Indian food, you may see Chinese, Filipino, from the diverse cultures that come in. So it makes us somewhat of a melting pot. But added to that also is their education. For example, some years ago we didn't have institutions like the Shetty Hospital, which bring a level of skill to the island also. Because, I'm sure they are being used, maybe not to the full capacity, but, they're helping out in the health situation. It may be taking some of the persons who would have otherwise traveled to the U.S. to seek some specialist medical care. So they're adding a dimension to the population. Now, from our vantage point, in terms of the labor force, it is good to see the labor force as one market as opposed to divided market. And anything you're producing, it should not be two sets of people fighting together, fighting against each other, because inevitably you produce less if there's a continued fight, as opposed to everything being in unison and working together. And if we think of, we learn from the animal kingdom, the ants and those things, they work together to produce something. So that is my layman's view of that.
We have to take a little break here, but stay with us. We'll be right back.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
This year, we're taking the Fet for a Cause one step further. Welcome to One Fet. Get ready for an unforgettable night featuring some of the top DJs on island, bringing you the ultimate vibe. From start to finish is pure vibes, good energy, and non-stop music. And the best part, 100% of the proceeds go towards supporting the Cayman Islands Cancer Society and autism acceptance. So this year, you're not just partying, you're partying with a purpose. It all kicks off Friday, May 22nd, 8 p.m. at Sandbar. Don't miss your chance to be a part of something bigger. Get your tickets now at the box office.ky and get ready to take over the streets on Saturday, May 23rd with the Fet for a Cause family. One Fet, one vibe, one cause, one unforgettable experience. One Fet sponsors AI Rentals, CarQuest, Ace, Parker's, Coca-Cola, Tortuga, Stingray Media, Sandbar, Mike's Ice, Radio Cayman, Valvoline, and D&B Audio Technic.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Cayman Art Week is back and bigger than ever, with art on show at over 50 venues across all 3 islands from Tuesday the 26th to Sunday the 31st of May. From one-off pop-ups and creative collaborations to open studios and late-night gallery hours, all events are free and there's art on sale for every budget. Join a guided bus tour or visit at your own pace. You'll find everything you need to know at CaymanArtWeek.com.
Hi, this is Gary King from Totally 80s. My special guest this week is Toya. Toya tells us what the 80s meant to her. I'll also bring you the latest news on the biggest stars of the decade.
This is Totally 80s.
Heard on Saturdays from 2 until 4 p.m. on Breeze 105.3 and 91.9. And brought to you with the kind compliments of KFC.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and I'm talking with Adolphus Laidlow. He's the director of the Economics and Statistics Office and also senior economist Ralston Henry of the Economics and Statistics Office. You mentioned hospitals before we went to the break there. Is that another example that we have in Cayman of having a bigger population than we used to, that we now had 3 hospitals in a small place like this?
Yes, I think it is. But more importantly, as Adolphus mentioned, as an economy and as a country, we have advanced significantly over the last 20 or 30 years. And that has led to, via this diversification and mix, a significant improvement in the way and standard of life for Caymanians. We're having now a lot more discussions about what optimal healthcare should be, what a safe environment should be. I think Cayman has always been very safe, but we're now having more conversation about what a advanced economy should be. And I think that has laid the way or the groundwork for what we have now in terms of Health City, in terms of doctors, in terms of HSA, as to the competing for quality. Because now we have, usually you would have to go to Miami for certain types of procedures, but now you have all of those here because you have that specialization here. I think it speaks to quantity, as you mentioned, in terms of how much more we have, but it also speaks a lot to quality because now we have a lot more detailed, more technical, and more advanced procedures that are taking place here. And I think that as well is a talking point for our development. So not just quantity, but also quality.
We do have a caller on the line, so let's take that phone call. Good afternoon, you're on the air.
Good afternoon, Charlo.
Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, good. Good afternoon, Charlo. Peter Schmidt here. I just want to say something with regards to the population. I think we need to understand that whilst our population might be 90,000 plus, the core population is really less than that. Let's say you had a economic change to the worse in globally or Caribbean wide or whatever. Most of the work permit holders would probably be returning from whence they came, which would automatically take 30-something thousand that we count amongst our population out of the picture. So I believe we have to keep that in mind. The other point that I want to say was for those people that think we have way over 100,000 population, I can understand that because if we have a population, a resident population right now of 90,000 plus, we also have maybe 10,000 or more tourists that are visiting us at any given time as well. So those were the 2 points I wanted to make.
All right, well, thank you very much. Gentlemen, how would you respond to that?
Well, I mean, I think he's correct in terms of who we count as resident population. Because the resident population, as we count, is basically people who are resident here for at least 6 months.
Just stay a little closer to the mic.
6 months out of the year. And those are the ones who are added here. It also includes Caymanians who are overseas and intend to return to the country. So the students are also included in this population count because they are included as part of the household when we go out to the households. From the census count, all students, all Caymanian overseas for medical attention or, maybe sailing, whatever occupation they were doing, once they intend to come back to the Cayman Islands, they were included in this count. So who's not included would have been persons who are here, as he said rightfully, like visitors or short-term residents, persons who have second homes and, and the like, would not have been included in the population.
So at any one time, as it is right now, we probably do have close to 100,000 people on the islands.
Underground, yeah.
Yes, it's quite possible. We probably can do the calculation and see how many tourists for the year and then divide it by among the days and see, at a particular point in time.
An average, how
much it is. And I mean, if our tourism for a year is in the region of 500,000 or so, 400 and something thousand, then it's logical to expect that, we can have around 100,000 per, at any one time. Yes.
The rate of growth, though, I mean, even to me, is like after we opened up COVID,
yes,
we shut down, and then we opened the gates, and it was like, a flood. machinery started rolling again. The trucks were on the road. Concrete was being poured. Is that like an unprecedented surge of development in the last 5 years or so?
Well, from our vantage point, looking at the data, what we saw is that construction started picking up just before the pandemic. And by the initial shutdown period of the pandemic, we had everything went on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
So we had all this project backed up and all that. So instead of a sequence of projects coming on, we had a backlog. So once the economy opened, everybody want their project to start.
Yeah.
So, but you need to find workers to get the project to start. So, there was a mass importation in terms of project. I mean, work permits increased soon after we opened, almost 10,000 work permits. And that is essentially where, we saw the jump in expat labor. So construction essentially, and then when those like for example, the accommodation facilities finish, then we had the hotels and everything open back at the same time. But we also had some of the local person who had the fear of COVID still. So they did not go back out to work right away.
Okay.
So as a result, they had to be replaced in the job market.
So it's not a simple situation.
No, it's not.
You've got a lot of different factors at work.
There are a lot of dynamics going on.
Yeah. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. You're on the air with Talk Today.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Chalo. This is the second Schmidt on the line.
Okay.
And good afternoon to your guests. I just want to make a correction there. I am nearly 74 years of age. I have lived in Cayman and I have lived abroad. But the biggest population and influx that we've ever seen in this island is from the Jamaica population. Then another thing, we don't have 2 or 3 hospitals here. We have 4. Health City has 2 hospitals, HSA and Doctors Hospital. Health City also has a clinic. And we're talking about 2 or 3. What I am worried about, and very worried about, is 6 months out of the year, we have a hurricane season. Sometimes it goes into December, end of December. We're having a bigger population and a bigger population and a bigger population. Our leaders never talks about getting more shelters for the people, because the airlines that we have coming in, they abandoned us. We didn't have a whole lot of airlines coming into this island in 2004 as we do now. They abandoned us during 2004. So I would like to see more hurricane shelters that can be used for multi-purpose instead of expensive 3 to 400 condos that Caymanians can't afford to buy, and other people that coming in here to work can't afford to buy. And even the investors never thought of, okay, we could have built something that the population can use. If we build a multi-purpose shelters that can take meetings, can hold the people in case of emergencies and stuff like that, then it is not too bad. But this influx all the time must be stopped. We cannot continue like this. We cannot. Our older Caymanians are dying. The younger ones not having. That's not the influx problem. But it's the problem of our government that we have to put a stop to this.
Ma'am, thank you so much for the call. I got to take a break here.
Thank you very much.
But
Thank you.
have a good afternoon. We'll be right back.
Did you know that Doctors Hospital provides urgent care services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? And Doctors Hospital's urgent care physicians have access to the most advanced MRI and CT imaging in the Caribbean, providing reliable diagnostics when you need it most. When you need quality urgent care for an illness or injury, Doctors Hospital is here for you 24/7. Whether it's a migraine, chest or abdominal pain, shortness of breath, broken bones, or another urgent need, Doctors Hospital at the top of Walker's Road. Urgent care right now.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Cineco's parametric insurance after hurricanes is now available for motor policies. Fixed automatic payouts cover incidental vehicle expenses like fuel, cleanup, and minor repairs. No claims, no damage required. $200 for comprehensive policies or $100 for third-party policies. Available exclusively through Cineco and included with all new motor insurance policies and upon renewal for current policies. Visit Cineco.ky today. Cineco, keeping Cayman covered.
It's here. Multi-year trade and business licenses are now available. You heard right. You can apply for TBLs up to 5 years. Save time, reduce paperwork, and focus on growing your business. Apply online at dci.gov.ky. Apply for your multi-year trade and business licenses today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and I'm talking to the Director of Economics and Statistics Office, Adolphus Lowe, and also Ralston Henry. He's a senior economist at the Economics and Statistics Office. And we do have another caller, but just a little point here. Remember that these gentlemen are here with the information. They have the data. They're not making policy. So let's take that WhatsApp call there, I think. Good afternoon. You're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Charles.
Yes, go ahead. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon to your guests. I'm doing good. I just tuning in, getting off of work for listening to the little bit of the conversation while I was in the listening on the radio. But I heard about population growth, and I think that when it comes into like population growth on the island, I mentioned this already before, but I'd like to mention it again. The characteristics of those people that we are bringing in and inviting onto the island may not take the same interest that we as Caymanians have in our island that we are trying to protect. And with the increase of population, those persons that are coming in on the island also might have pets, and the increase on pets and animals that we have here in the island, I think that they should have a control on that as well.
All right.
Because I'm hearing that the animals now are needing insurance and all those things too. So that adds on expenses, just like the properties that are on the beachfront that are getting flooded out every year.
All right. Well, thank you for the call.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, we know that the economy has been, on like a runaway train, more or less.
Yeah.
But was a stat, what was it, in the last quarter of last year, what inflation was, down to 1 point something growth?
Yes, the last inflation was 1.3% growth.
Yeah. So that shows a cooling of inflation?
Well, what happened is that inflation is coming off a high because immediately after the pandemic, we had the Russia invasion of Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And for 2022, we had a 9.5% inflation. In 23, we had a 3.8. And 24, we had a 2.5. So it was returning to normal levels. And that's why we had that 1.3. So that's a good thing because it means that price is not rising as fast.
But I came across something where economists, when inflation rate gets close to 1, economists kind of say, what's going on here? You don't like to see inflation rates getting down to 1%, right? I mean, what's that an indicator of?
I think it's usually an indication of stagflation. You have to, in terms of inflation, and I think Cayman is a little bit unique. So as I'll explain the situation first, and then I'll go into the Cayman situation, which is a bit different. In a general sense, inflation is a function of demand and supply. So if you have a certain amount of goods, the more persons are demanding that good, the price for it will go up. And so inflation is usually the balancing of demand and supply for goods and services. So when inflation goes to 0, it's telling us that one of those demand or supply, which are goods and services, is going down. Either the demand is going down, which is causing the price to depress, or there's an issue on the supply side. So therefore, when we see inflation slowing down from a trading perspective, there is cause to look and say, well, what is happening? From the Cayman's perspective, it's a bit different because the balancing act is not just here, because Cayman is a major supplier of services and not necessarily goods. And a lot of our inflation is imported and not a function of that equilibrium balancing between demand and supply. So theoretically, you could order as much food. You could double your order for food at Foster's, and theoretically, it shouldn't affect the price because your supply is coming from the rest of the world. Theoretically. So the balance in there in that case is not the same for Cayman or when an economist is looking to say, well, inflation is low and so there's an issue on the demand side. So there's a little bit of a difference there if you understand what I'm saying. But from our perspective, what we've had, like Adolphus mentioned, is a slowing down of inflation from the high that we had before, which has been a lot of imported inflation. We started with Russia, we had the Suez Canal, we had tariffs, we had a lot of things stacking up over the years. And last year was the first year where we started to have a cooling down of all of that. So
is there any indication that we're seeing a slowdown of the economy?
So up to last year, up to the third quarter, we had the economic GDP growing by 2.8%, and that's for the first 3 quarters of 2025. For that year, we're not anticipating that. So for 2025, we're not seeing a major slowdown in the economy. It's a slowing relative to the high growth period because, in tandem with those issues that we mentioned, the economy would have gone down in COVID, and so you needed to have a natural recovery. And so some of that was still taking place in the after years. So in the same way we have inflation coming down, we have a mild slowing in growth. But in terms of our performance, we're not seeing where things are really trickling down.
So this robust economy that we have, you see it continuing?
Well, so there's a contingent. So this year is a different year.
Yeah, because you got
the issues that happen now. So it's a total different dynamics. If we start to pad on those things, they're likely to have some impact. Yes.
Yeah. So, like the price of fuel and such. I mean, that's how much impact is that? Is the government's waiving of the fuel duty? You think that's going to make a significant impact? Because you had produced made a projection of 5 point something inflation.
5.3.
Yeah, for this year because of the war and the price of fuel, etc.
Right.
So that will ease the
Yes.
waiving of the duty?
We expect it. We haven't completed that analysis yet, but it's in process. But we expect it to have some impact on the overall inflation the 5.3% that we project for the end of this year. But that's also, it's a dynamic process, and the events that led to it in the first place is still ongoing in the Gulf area. And we don't know when the finality and what the
big question mark.
Yes, a big question mark there, and we don't know what the finality of it and when it will come to some end, so we can really have a proper prediction. So we continue to monitor the situation there and to see basically how it will affect us eventually. But I think, for example, anything that the government can do to ease the pain, then I think that's what they're doing. But it's a trade-off also, because for example, to give us the rebates or, to cut the fuel, it means that the government is not collecting the revenue to spend on other things.
Exactly, exactly. So let me, and there's a WhatsApp question here, and I've always wondered about this myself, and as far as unemployment and how that goes. It seems like when you break the figures down, you say Caymanians are so much, the general workforce. Are non-Caymanians included in the figure for unemployment?
Yes, just as the population where we have all residents, the unemployment figure include all residents. But we separate out also the Caymanian population. So we have the overall for the economy, and we have the Caymanians.
Because the question that I had, and also the person sending the WhatsApp message, is if you're not Caymanian and you're unemployed, why are you here?
Right.
So you have to have a work permit to be here?
That is one of the common discussion. But what we have is also dependents of work permit holders who may not be working, but they have a legal right to be here because they have some kind of legal authorization to be here. They can be looking for a job. Whenever they find a job, they would apply for a work permit and that whole process, so they're unemployed. So the unemployment is basically not stop you from looking for a job. What the immigration component is saying, well, you don't have the authorization to work, which is two completely different things. So but you can still be unemployed on island and not have the authorization to work.
And you're considered part of the workforce?
Once you're unemployed,
available,
right? You're still part of the unemployed, so you're still available. You can find a job, yes.
And you're actively looking.
And you're looking for that job because there are three conditions to be unemployed. One, you must not be working. Two, you must be looking for a job, and three, you must be available if a job comes up. So once you meet those three criteria, then you're considered unemployed. But often we confuse not working with unemployed. They're not the same.
Right. I mean, if you don't want to work, you're
exactly. So in other words, there must be some effort, to find a job. And you cannot find a job and say, okay, well, I'm not ready. I'm ready next year. You must be able to. You must want to take that job right away, at least within a certain time.
And just to add, so in addition to those dependents, and you asked the question correctly, would we then consider them unemployed? I mean, you could have a spouse of someone with a work permit that are here under the person's work permit as a dependent, and that person is actively looking and willing to start a job should they be given. They would need to apply for a work permit once they get the offer, but then they're still considered unemployed. You also have persons who are in between, because there's some time frame in between losing a job where you could apply, you could go to immigration and say, well, I need time to stay for maybe another week, another 2 weeks, and you're looking in that period. So the unemployment pool for the non-Caymanians is very small, but there are certain nuances of persons that are in there.
Mm-hmm. So Cayman must offer people like yourselves, the statisticians, quite a challenge to get a clear picture, because I mean you have so many different elements.
Yes.
And I mean, what do you go through to try and come up with an accurate figure?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we use is really the labor force survey. So we basically use a relatively large sample which we sample about 2,000 households. And it's distributed, representative across all districts. And that's the reason for that, is that we have to ask the people sometimes. So it's just, we don't have a system like, say, the US, where the Social Security and, if somebody working.
Unemployment benefits.
Exactly, and all those to judge. So the only way we can get is by surveys.
Could you all stay a little longer?
Sure.
Okay. All right. So we're going to keep up here until 2:30. It's coming up at 2 o'clock, and that means we've got to go to the newsroom. Be right back after the news.
This is the People's Radio Station. Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines.
The Headline News is brought to you by Kirk Market.
With your latest headlines, I'm Elizabeth Charles. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce is promoting a Quest Voyager tour of northern France and the Champagne region from September 26 to October 5th, 2026. The package starts at $4,999 per person with an $800 deposit and includes return air from Grand Cayman, 8 nights in first-class hotels, they say, 11 meals and guided tours in Normandy and Reims with champagne tastings. Optional add-ons cover Mont Saint-Michel, a Paris extension with a Seine cruise and Eiffel Tower access, and a Versailles tour, while non-members must pay an additional $100 supplement. In international news, the U.S. Department of Labor has formally repealed a Biden-era rule that would have extended mandatory overtime pay to about 4 million salaried workers. In a final rule issued today, officials call the move a, quote, technical correction to implement 2 2024 Texas court rulings that struck down the regulation in cases brought by the state of Texas and Flint Avenue. The scrapped rule would have required overtime pay for salaried staff earning under $1,128 a week if they worked more than 40 hours, but with the repeal, the lower salary threshold of about $35,500 set in 2020 under then-President Donald Trump remains in force. In other news, a new Round Hill Memory Exchange traded fund called DRAM has become the fastest-growing ETF launch ever, as individual investors pour into semiconductor stocks. Since its April 2nd debut, Reuters reports the fund has amassed more than $6 billion in just 5 weeks, including $1 billion in its first 10 trading days and another $1 billion in a single session. Those are the latest headlines. I'm Elizabeth Charles.
www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?
Welcome back, and quick look at the weather. Here in Georgetown, it's 86 degrees. Feels like 94, though. And let's take a look at the forecast here. And tonight, we can expect mainly clear skies with a 20% chance of showers. Temperatures falling to the upper 70s. Winds easterly at 5 knots or less, becoming light and variable at times. Seas will be slight with wave heights at 1 to 3 feet. And our economists remain with us until the end of the show. I've locked the doors so they can't run away. They were originally here for a half hour, but that's just not enough time to talk about this. And I think we do have a caller on the line. So let's take that call. Good afternoon. You're on the air. Hello, are you there?
After about 20 minutes holding on. Anyway, I heard the economist say something about population growth. Can he explain to me exactly what he means by that?
What they mean by population growth?
Is he trying to say we still need to grow the population more than what we already have here?
No, I don't think he's saying that we need to. He's just talking about population growth that has occurred in the Cayman Islands.
Well, that's why I was asking what he meant when he was talking about population growth, because I didn't get to listen to entire things that he was saying. So I was expecting him to answer me on that.
Now, Mr. Laidlaw, would you like to explain what population growth means?
Thank you for the question and the clarification. What we were saying is that immediately after COVID and the COVID pandemic, that the population actually grew faster than it has been before. And it's a result of several things, whereby we had a backlog of projects and we had to import more people to work. And, in terms of the service industry, we had hotels that were opening around those times. And they had to basically stock workers. And as a result, the population jumped a bit that period, but predominantly from work permits.
Does that clarify it for you?
Cayman has become a refugee camp for men. We are full of milk and honey and got everything in the world to give away to other people that come here and can't afford to live here. Because some of the people that I saw just after COVID in some of the supermarkets, honest to God, I hadn't seen them before. I had to wonder whether they came out of crab holes or where, because they were out like Ray Shanks. Man, the rain is heavy. And when I see the people wearing these uniforms, border control, I have to speak to them and say, when these people come in now, do you stop forever in their passport and stay to 1 or 2 days or 1 or 2 weeks?
Well, if they're here on a work permit, they're going to be here for more than 2 weeks.
Come here, just make me talk, please. I waited long enough. I said...
Well, state some facts.
Well, that's what I'm doing. When these people come here now, nobody seems to leave. How many are leaving? The Cayman is bursting by the seams with all of the traffic on the road. The schools are overloaded. Some people tell me you got to register a child before the mother even gets pregnant. No. The hospitals are overloaded. All you can hear is HSA is full. They can't take no patients. Then they ship them up to Health City and East End and this way and that way. I mean, this is unfair to us Caymanians who were born here and built this country.
All right, thank you so much for the call.
And he also said,
so, as you can see, while we have the stats, the no benefits of population to the economy, the more businesses can flourish in Cayman, more services can be offered, there's still that social element that says this is not good for us. I mean, I don't know, how do you negotiate that in your world of statistics?
Well, definitely it's a challenge, and that's why population discussion in terms of population is always contentious, because there are always going to be persons who are said they're affected by larger population, so there are arguments either direction as to getting it smaller as to getting it bigger, whichever it is. Quite obviously, once a population is growing within a certain range, there would need to be social programs that help persons who feel disadvantaged by the growing population, because some people are going to fall through the cracks. It's inevitable. Mm-hmm. Any kind of development will have the people who are affected in a negative way. And that's the role of the government and the policy makers, to make sure that those people don't fall through the cracks. Those people are not left out and they're protected in some way, which is, some of the immigration policies we can see around. That's the purpose of some of those things, because some of these persons need protection. And in the population growth dynamics, everybody have a say, and everybody should have a say as to where they want to see their country, as to how they want to see their country. But the majority say it will be what matters, and basically putting the protections in place for the persons who are disadvantaged.
And that's where the policymakers come in.
That's where the policymakers come in.
Yeah.
But our job is just to basically bring the statistics to the fore and
give them the information
so that they can make those decisions.
Mr. Henry, you were going to add something to that?
Yes, one of the things I'd say is we have two components. We spoke earlier about the growth in population and balancing that with the growth in the economy, and the need to ensure that we have the conversation from both sides, and not just to say, well, we need to get rid of a significant chunk of the population. But on the other side, we've also had the conversation around that social program which you mentioned, where, as Adolfo said before, Cayman is unique in that all of this is imported labor for the development of the economy. It means that the policymakers have more control over that imported labor and how it is used. And so one of the things, and I mentioned it earlier, is there is an opportunity to get more out of this type of system for Caymanians. So even while we contemplate balancing population growth with economic growth, while we do that, in the interim, we can be looking at ensuring that we have a better distribution of the growth that we have to Caymanians, and that will help to bridge that gap with persons falling through the gap and the benefits to the government and to the people as a whole. So we do have this growth, and there should be a conversation simultaneously about how can we ensure that this benefits Caymanians more.
Elaborate a little bit more on what you said there about the Caymanians getting more out of this population growth and the whole economic growth that's happening in Cayman.
Yes, so we spoke about the supply of labor is being used to provide these goods and services, whether it be financial services, construction, or tourism services.
And we are a service community.
Yeah, we are a service
society,
economy.
Right?
Yeah. So what we have is we have a system that now says that for starters, you must have those businesses being owned by Caymanians. We also have a system that said for starters, once we have a job opening, the first preference must go to Caymanians. So we already have the foundation to ensure that this growth, the first pick of it, goes to Caymanians. And what we've seen some policies try to do, but what is important is that we strengthen that, so that the growth we spoke about, a lot of persons coming in and Caymanians are suffering. We need to also have the conversation that, okay, a lot of persons are coming in and this is leading to more growth, and so this should be leading to more income for Caymanians, and so we need to be looking at that as well.
We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon, you're on the air.
Chalo, how are you?
I'm fine, and yourself?
Oh, hanging in. Good afternoon to the two gentlemen there. And I would like to, hello?
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Yep. I would like to say just 2 or 3 words into the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Do those 2 gentlemen there knows where the work building is located on Mary Street?
I would think they do.
Hello?
Yeah. He's waiting for an answer from you.
Yes or no?
You all know where the works building is on Mary Street?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, if you measure 50 feet from there to the west, that is where I was born and raised. And at that time, where the works building is now, that's where we used to play as children when we come from school. So that can shake your memory right there. Just a quick question. Do you feel, sir, that if we put a moratorium on the work permits, that those unemployed Caymanians, because they have unemployed all over the world, They got plenty people that want to work. They got people that don't want to work. But I am saying that if you gentlemen feel that if the work situation, the unemployment in the Cayman Islands would drop tremendously if we put a moratorium on the work permits. Just a quick question. What do you say about that?
All right. Well, let's get an answer for that. Thank you for the call. So he's saying if you put a moratorium on work permits, would that take care of the unemployed Caymanians?
Well, first of all, I think we will need to see the characteristics of the unemployed Caymanians. Because do they have, what you want to look at is what businesses are using to employ persons. So is the skill level available among the unemployed such that the businesses will hire those persons? And that is key. So what I will more advise is not necessarily a moratorium, but let's go down into the details, into the characteristics of unemployed Caymanians. Quite obviously, any employment of the 1,045 unemployed that we estimate as at the end of last year, Caymanians, any employment of those persons will dent the unemployment of Caymanians, because it's just about around 4%, 4.1% thereabout. Okay? And 4% is a normal rate of unemployment for most countries. Now, there will be always unemployed among us, because it's a dynamic process. People are leaving jobs every day. People are getting jobs every day. So it doesn't matter if you take 1,000 right now and put them into jobs, you'll find in 2 months, people still be unemployed.
Yeah.
It's a dynamic process. So it's not possible to bring it to zero. Okay? Because people walk off the job for whatever reason. They will get fired, whatever it is that they will leave those jobs. But I think it's key that we go through the characteristics. Let's look at the skill level. Let's look at meaning the education, the experience, the soft skills that's needed for employment. And let us not forget what Ralston just said, that Caymanian is priority, is top of the pecking order when businesses are, employing. We are putting even more policies in place to make sure that Caymanians have the opportunities to be employed. Now, there are many reasons why people may not be employed. It could be an information gap. It could be inefficiencies in the system. So, for example, if I don't know that there's a vacancy somewhere, I can be looking for a job but not send an application to that vacancy. I think WORC is now looking at that all vacancies should be advertised with them. So it means that Caymanians have a specific place now that they can go and see all jobs. So it means that you're really breaking down the information barrier. You bring in the persons who are seeking a job to the persons who employing together by basically doing that.
When you do the survey, which is where you get the unemployment figure from, is there any kind of demographic that you can say, well, a certain demographic has more unemployed people in it than another demographic?
Yes, I can give you some stats with the unemployed Caymanians generally. What we saw is that, for example, in 2025, 72.4% of unemployed Caymanians are at only high school education. So that is one.
So that plays a big part in it.
Exactly. So there's 3 in every 4 persons.
Out of the unemployed group.
Out of the unemployed group.
Only a high school education.
Only a high school education.
So that's very telling.
So these are the kind of statistics we need to look at and see, can we then, whether or not the education system get those persons more skilled through the education system, or get persons like that upskill a little more, maybe to tech voc or something of that nature.
Yeah, Vocational
training, so that they can then have a better opportunity for employment because they now have some kind of skill, hands-on skill that they can apply right away, as an example.
So when you do this survey, I mean, how much confidence do you have in the numbers? I mean, because like we said, there's no register as such or employment benefits claims that you can monitor to see how they go. You're taking people at their word,
right?
So how does that go as far as statisticians?
Right. So when we design surveys, we design it with that in mind. That we try to use questions that checks on other questions. So statistics is a story. It should tell a story, and so our enumerators are trained to pick up that there is something that is not necessarily correct in the story. And they may ask you several questions and re-ask the question, or you show this because, there's something there must be consistency in the answers.
You might ask the question in a different form and see if you get the same answer.
Right, or we have it in multiple questions in a different way to get the correctness of the answer. But all our surveys also go with a 5% margin of error. So beyond the margin of error, we do not survey the same group in under a year to a year and a half at least. So when we survey a group of households, they are taken out of the pool for a year and a half, which means the enumerator will not go back to that specific address.
So
and we're still getting the same figures. So it means that there is some consistency.
Okay. And this is random.
And this is randomly selected.
And you have one going on right now.
Right.
So how were those households chosen? I mean,
right. So what we have in at the ESO is a household registry. So we would have gone out before, get all the addresses for all the households in Cayman, which we have approximately 34,000 of them, distributed across all the districts. And from that, we will then choose the sample based on the size. For example, Georgetown is the largest, which is about 51%. So we'll take 51% of the sample from Georgetown. You see, and we'll go down the list of all the districts as an example, and we sample 2,000 households. Then once we go to those addresses, we don't know who is at the address. What we know is that it's the address you're going to.
Yeah.
So once we get to the address, then we interview the persons in the household.
And from a statistician point of view, 2,000 is a significant sample?
Yes, it's more than we require to have consistent estimates.
So what's the trend in unemployment in Cayman?
Well, we have seen it here. This is the trend from 2016 to 2025. The trend has always been, for example, between 2016 and 2019, 73% is just high school education. Between 20 and 23, 61%. Between 24 and 25, 72%. So it's always been around that group with the high school education or the unemployed.
So that's the message there. You need more training than high school to get work in Cayman.
Right. That is exactly what it is. Because you see, one of the things we ought to see is that with the financial services and industry like that, it's a highly technical industry.
Mm-hmm.
So they want trained accountants as an example, trained finance managers. So coming out of high school, you will not necessarily have that kind of training. So the entry level jobs for that industry is not, to answer a phone. They have, machine answering the phone these days.
Of course, yeah.
So as a result, what we need to focus on, in my view, would be more upskilling at that level, moving away from just high school to TechVoc. So the person who can go on to university will go, but we need to have some more TechVoc training, technical vocational that is.
I've also thought that in a small place like Cayman, and people say, well, we're not small anymore, we're up to 100,000. But you just come out of high school, you didn't do too well, you're not going on to do any other kind of training. But then you don't want to take a job pumping gas because your friends who might be at UCCI now or something getting further education, you don't want them to see you pumping gas, right? So it's that whole social thing again.
And we can go back, I think if we circle back to the moratorium question, it kind of lends to why I personally believe it would not work. Because of that skill mismatch that you mentioned, and also, or it depends on how you decide to do it. Let me qualify that firstly. So if it's a blanket moratorium to say, well, no more work permits for a year, then that is going to impact all businesses that need a work permit within that year. And it could be the very case that you'll have small business, you'll have medium-sized businesses who need a critical person. What then happens when you can't fill that role? It may end up that you can't get the critical person, but you had 3 other persons that were working at smaller levels, but without the critical person, the business doesn't make sense, or the business cannot function. And so you could end up losing more workers by having that moratorium. And so you have to then consider, well, what are the needs of the businesses? What are you providing in terms of the population, in terms of the supply of labor, and then how you balance that. But blanketly saying, well, okay, let's just not bring in anybody, is going to directly impact the production line that needs those persons. And if you impact that, then you're going to affect the businesses, which is going to ripple back into Caymanians who are working in those businesses.
And when you're dealing at that level, most likely the business that is being affected, is a good chance that it's owned by a Caymanian.
Of course.
Right.
But in terms of the point that you raised just prior, what we see is that, because we went back and looked at the data in terms of high school education, and what we count is there are over 22,000 jobs currently on the island that hire up to high school. But I'm just going to call out some stats so you get a feel of what's going on. If we look at government services, whatever related to the government in terms of education, health, and those kind of things, government related, whether they are statutory bodies or otherwise, 84% are already held by Caymanians. Okay? If we look at an example of the construction, hotel and restaurants, wholesale and retail, administrative services, only 26% is held by Caymanians. But do Caymanians need the construction job, hotel and restaurant, wholesale and retail, which is the point you're making, and also the administrative, which is like the cleaners and things like that, building cleaners and janitors of the like, only 26% are held. So it means that, for example, construction, where a tech vac can fill some of the void there.
Right, because the trades are very much in demand.
Exactly. So if we have persons with those trades, then quite obviously you can take some of the excess, high school leavers who basically considered unemployed.
When we're almost down to the end of the line here. When you take the figures that you've seen over the years and your own experience, what kind of vision do you see as an economist for Cayman over the next few years here?
Well, from looking at the figures, I think things are going to get better. Because what I'm seeing in terms of the trend, there are a lot more persons getting up to university education.
People are realizing more and more that the importance of education.
People are realizing more and more, and you have a lot. You have, from what I counted, from 2015 to 2025, you had about 35% more Caymanians with degrees.
Wow, that's good.
So it means, therefore, that more persons are going on to further education, and this is a good trend. So I would say down the line, we're going to have more and more and more, because people are realizing it's competitive. It's difficult to get a job with lower levels of skill, and they're then upskilling more.
Yeah, if we were a place that had more manufacturing and that sort of thing, then a high school graduate would find work that probably pays a good little salary if we were had factories, right? But we're just not that type of economy.
Yeah. Right, and even when we look at the incomes, because we look at the incomes of the high school earners as opposed to the university graduates. I don't know. Let me see. 1 second. Let me just look for that chart somewhere, that table somewhere, just so that I can give you that piece of stats. For example, on the average in 2025, a university graduate, which is a degree or higher, earns approximately $41 an hour on the average. A person with tech voc education earns around $24 per hour on the average. A high school graduate earns around $18. So there's reason to upskill. You can basically double your income by upskilling to a degree.
Upscale, get an education.
Get an education.
That's
the key, and you can see it will change circumstances.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming in this afternoon and spending so much time here. But I think we've still just kind of scratched the surface here. Thank you for joining me here on Talk Today, and thank you to all the callers who called in. I'm Charles Glidden. One love.
Accidents and illnesses can strike without warning. Ouch! When it comes to urgent care, every second counts. At Doctors Hospital, we have a dedicated team of experienced doctors and nursing staff available to you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Don't waste time in an overcrowded emergency room when you need urgent care. Whether it's a broken bone, a severe infection, or a sudden illness, trust in Doctors Hospital's unwavering dedication to providing the best immediate care. For complete urgent care when you need it the most, choose Doctors Hospital, located in Georgetown, 16 Middle Road.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments from May 11 to 15 at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
The Spring Labor Force Survey and Quality of Life Survey conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office is currently underway. The Labor Force Survey collects information on employment and unemployment in the Cayman Islands, while the Quality of Life Survey gathers feedback on well-being, financial security, community belonging, and overall life satisfaction. Trained interviewers with official ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households. All interviews are confidential under the Statistics Act, and no individual information will be published. For details, call the ESO hotline at 516-3329.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. What is on your mind, Cayman?